Hey guys, what's going on? This is Faske. I chose Parkinson's disease for my individual difference brief. The reason why I chose Parkinson's was just due to the popularity of this disease occurring in our society. I'm not saying it's popular or anything like that. I'm just talking about how much is being talked about, how relevant you see it currently, affecting our society, with the famous victims that we hear about all the time, like Michael J. Fox, Muhammad Ali are, really the top two that stand out in my mind. So I wanted to talk about Parkinson's disease and, give a little bit of, feedback on what I found from it and what information I found on it, and then talk about how people can still, maintain physical fitness and physical activity even when they are diagnosed with Parkinson's. So the definition of Parkinson's disease is a progressive neurological disease characterized by a tremor, slow movement, and muscle rigidity, and typically seen only in those over the age of 40. Usually, from what they've seen is, after the age of 40, the chances of, acquiring the Parkinson's disease increases, and then there's 50 years, and then there's 60. They say after 60, that's when it really starts kicking up, and you're more than likely able to acquire it. But as you can see, Parkinson's disease is really a neurological disease, which is all up in your head. That's how you diagnose it with, due to the brain stem nuclei. Like I was just saying, Parkinson's is a disease that is acquired as an adult later on in life. Parkinson's, for the most part, is a non-congenital disease. Only 15 to 25% of Parkinson's victims acquired it due to a family member. Those are low. That's a low percentage. So you can't fully say it is a congenital disease. So that's why I put, for the most part, it's a non. But Parkinson's also causes physical and cognitive impairment on its victims. And you can see, cognitive impairment is affected, by Parkinson's just because it changes the brain, its motor symptoms, which can, decrease the memory and the thinking of one's mind. The causes of Parkinson's is, due to old age. That's something that, and then, genetics can play an effect as well, that 15 to 25% range. And then another one is just the loss of dopamine cells, which, scientists will be able to develop treatments to stop or reverse this disease, hopefully here soon. But whenever there is a loss of dopamine, there's an increasing chance that you're going to be diagnosed with Parkinson's as well. The symptoms that, so you can see, what the Parkinson's victims are, what's happening to them, what I'm trying to say, sorry. How it's being affected, the symptoms of it, there's tremors, you can see these people constantly shaking all the time, without, they're not even trying, it's just their bodies making it happen. They're always shaking. If you look at Michael J. Fox, doing a TV broadcast, or anytime on any show, he's constantly moving all the time. He's real dirty. It looks like he's ADHD, but he's really just diagnosed with Parkinson's and being, very affected by it. So he's constantly shaking all the time, and words are sometimes slurred as well, and he just looks like he's out of focus, but it's due to the Parkinson's and him trying to, just battle through it. Slowed movement, and this one can go to Muhammad Ali. If you've ever watched him in videos or anything like that after his boxing career, he was very much delayed in his whole body movement, just the way he walked, the way he would move his arms, the way he would get up out of a chair. Due to that is, his boxing injuries. He had a lot of brain damage and whatnot. It's taken a toll on him, but the Parkinson's was the one that really slowed his movement, and it also made his muscles, very weak due to what the disease has an effect on the human body. A lack of balance, and this kind of happens with old age as well, just with a regular person not diagnosed with Parkinson's. So a lack of balance at an even earlier age, for the Parkinson's victims is something that is very dangerous due to, chances of them falling and breaking something or hurting themselves in a worse way than what they already are. Loss of movements, we kind of talked about that with the slowed movement. Speech impediments, that's something I brought up with Michael J. Fox. If you watch him on TV, he slurs his words at times. He, forgets things, or he'll jumble up words, and there might be a lisp or two in there as well, and that's just due to the neurological damage that Parkinson's has taken over someone's brain. And you can watch clips of Muhammad Ali, Robin Williams, towards the later part of his career was also affected by it. And then the decreased ability in handwriting, and I think the reason why there's a decreased ability is due to the tremors. Your hands are constantly shaking while you're trying to write a paper, or write a letter to somebody. Your hands constantly shaking, so you can't keep it straight and make it a structured sentence and whatnot. The special concerns that I had listed for the victims of Parkinson's, and just because they're older when they're diagnosed, the risk of falling due to lack of balance and strength. Older people already are at a high risk of falling down just due to their decreased muscle. They're having muscle dystrophy. Just things aren't working the same like when they're younger. Their muscles have gotten weaker, and their bones become more fragile and whatnot. So, and they're not working out. They're not staying as healthy and fit as they used to, because they just they're getting older and things don't work the same. Whenever you're looking at a 20-year-old and then an 80-year-old. So that's the risk of falling due to lack of balance and strength is one that stands out in my mind. Another one, lifting themselves out of bed and in the bathroom or even in the shower as well. We need to have a lot of handrails all over the house, all over the bathroom for these Parkinson's victims that live by themselves or live with even with a group home of people. They still need to be accustomed to help them still manage themselves in life. Lack of cognitive ability and memory is also very detrimental, and this is something that you could definitely see towards the later end of Muhammad Ali's career and his life. He just started to lose memory. He started to be able, wasn't able to think of things on the fly like he used to be, and just you could tell there was a delayed, part of him. And part of this happened to Robin Williams as well, and this disease is one of the reasons why Robin Williams, took his own life. Was he was depressed, and part of the depression was being diagnosed with Parkinson's and how much it was affecting his life. So what would be the best for the victims of this age range is to have an individual care professional monitoring and caring for them, is what I put. The activity recommendations that I really, kind of read through some things and, just thought of, off the top of my head, the best thing for Parkinson's victims to do activity-wise is something that involves limb movements and aerobic exercises. They don't need to be doing things that are going to make them lift a lot of weights and, put strain on their muscles. So exercises like walking, yoga classes, dancing, taking the stairs, doing little Stairmaster workouts like they see at the gym, ping pong as well, tennis and golf. Tennis, there's a little bit too much movement. I think if they're playing a little bit less intense version with an older person as well, they could probably do that, but it's still helping them still work on their muscle movements and getting around and being active. I think that's the most important thing. And then golf as well. Golf isn't a strenuous activity. You can barely hit a ball and it can still go a long ways. You can still be effective on a golf course without having to muscle a drive down the 500 yards. You can hit a nice, easy shot for 200 yards and still play good golf. These exercises will all help increase victims with their cardio and their physical movements, is what I put due to my research. Any activities that increase the heart rate or enhance blood pressure are not exercises that need to be done by the victims. Contradicted activities. The best thing for victims to do in these activities is to do stretching and muscle loosening exercises, because like I said, you're not wanting to strain their muscles. You're not wanting to put pressure on them, trying to lift, 40-pound dumbbells, doing, bicep curls or anything like that. They don't need to be doing that anymore. They're older. There's no point in them trying to get buff and, look like Johnny Bravo or something like that. The list of exercises that I think would be very effective for them and would help them stay physically active and help their body still, stay in a good place is leg lifts, back extension with arms and feet off the floor, neck rolls, non-weighted squats, sit-ups, water aerobics, and resistance training to help build strength. And whenever I'm saying resistance training, I'm not saying a lot of weight or anything like that, just a little bit to help them take a baby step towards a certain goal. They don't need to be doing strenuous weight that's going to, hurt them more than help them. And like I put at the bottom, using any weighted material during these exercises should be prohibited due to the stress it can put on the victim's weakened muscles. And that's something that Parkinson's has done to the victims, has made their muscles very weak and rigid. The famous victims, like I talked about earlier, Michael J. Fox, Muhammad Ali, Robin Williams, Johnny Cash, Billy Graham, and Casey Kasem. A lot of people have said, Muhammad Ali acquired this due to the brain damage that he took from his boxing career. And it put a neurological toll on his body, and it affected him very much up in his brain, and that's why he acquired Parkinson's disease. Robin Williams, and Michael J. Fox and Johnny Cash, there was rumors that about their drug use in the past, that's the reason why they acquired Parkinson's disease as well. I don't believe those things. I know Johnny Cash was a user at one time in his career, but I would hope that drug use wasn't a reason to acquire Parkinson's disease. But these are the main 6 that everybody thinks about, the most famous victims of Parkinson's disease over the years. Here are my references that I picked up. I had 5 references that I had researched over and cited in here. And I think that is it for my presentation.